to the Unitarian Universalist Fellowship of Fayetteville. Reverend Renee is not feeling well today, so I will be filling in for her. Please keep her in your thoughts and prayers for a speedy recovery. My name is Chris Cook. I am a part of the Web of Life group. I sing in the choir, I help organize family feasts, and I love attending adult RE. I'm so happy to be here with you all this morning and to be a part of our precious community. Unitarian Universalism is a religious tradition that values freedom in religious thought and journey. So much so, our congregation is full of diverse beliefs, out-of-the-box thinkers, and people of all practices. In the walls of our community's home, we have many schools of thought. We have atheists, pagans, druids, Christians, philosophers, agnostics, scientists, witches, Christo-pagans, Stoics, Muslims, and the list could go on. I think it's safe to say that most of us along our journey have ventured into many different types of beliefs to get to where we are now. A healthy hunk of us may adopt multiple of those titles of expression now. But where we find similarities is our journey is that all of us, no matter the finer details of the paths we took to get here today, have searched for meaning, sanctuary, love, acceptance, and personal growth. Here in these walls, as Unitarian Universalists, we let our differences become the glue that binds us together. Together, we uphold the unity of our interconnections, connections to each other, all of life, and the precious universe that we are a part of. We affirm the universality of love and hope as we journey together in community. And we welcome you, whoever you are at this moment, and wherever you are in your spiritual journey. And we cherish all people of all backgrounds. For those of you joining us online, welcome. If you are new, please check out our website, UUFayetteville.org, for more information. If you're still here today, you can check it out too. It's a great website. For those of you joining us in person, you'll find a visitor information card in the seat back in front of you. We'd love for you to fill one of these out so we can email you and keep you informed of our events. And we always have a lot of really cool events going on. If you need hearing assistance, our AV Tech David can help you with that. He's really awesome. We are a growing community that embraces all stages of development, and we are a community who sees the value in welcoming people of all ages to our services. So children and their noises are always welcome in our service, but there is a staff nursery available downstairs if you prefer. Please remember to silence your cell phones as we enter into our service. Today is our Burning Bull service. It's one of my personal favorites. I encourage you during this service to open your hearts and be vulnerable with yourself. It takes a lot of courage to harness the power of vulnerability. But the healing, the inner wisdom, and the self-compassion that can be unlocked are well worth the cost. But you don't have to pay that cost alone today. And let's be honest, courage is expensive when you're acting alone. So find strength knowing that today you're not alone. You are supported by like-hearted people. You are safe. Find inspiration in the knowing that each of us are opening our hearts to vulnerability today as a collective, side by side, evoking the gifts of vulnerability that vulnerability has to offer. Melly is going to be leading us today during the service, and they are a crowd favorite, rightfully so. Melly is an excellent speaker and leader in our community. They are a knowledgeable academic, an excellent craftsperson, and have a serious talent for hand-spinning thread, knitting, and creating things in general. I am honored to hand you over to them. Blessed be.
Good morning. Wow, that was a wonderful introduction. I don't quite know how to handle that. We'll talk about that later in the service. So, if you can see, I am wearing a t-shirt that was given to me by my partner's wife. We can talk about that after the service if you want. It has the children from Peter Pan. They're in flight. As Chris was mentioning, letting go of things is a very vulnerable place. I cry a lot. Those of you who haven't heard me speak before may not know that, but you will. You Can Fly is one of my favorite songs from the Peter Pan musical. The Peter Pan musical as a whole is incredibly problematic. I have a difficult time watching it now. And I loved watching it in my youth and sang all the songs, even the ones that horrify me to speak the words of today. But this particular one has no issues. Think of Christmas, think of snow, think of sleigh bells. Off you go like reindeer in the sky. You can fly, you can fly, you can fly. All of these things that Peter Pan tells them when encouraging the children to let go and fly are letting go. Burning Bowl service is about letting go, and we'll discuss that, but it's about other things too. One of those things is needing one another. So my formal opening words today are, as usual, from our gray hymnal. Lots of cool things in here. I encourage you to pick it up and leaf through. These words are from George Odell. We need one another when we mourn and would be comforted. We need one another when we are in trouble and afraid. We need one another when we are in despair, in temptation, and need to be recalled to our best selves again. We need one another when we would accomplish some great purpose and cannot do it alone. We need one another in the hour of success, when we look for someone to share our triumphs. We need one another in the hour of defeat, when with encouragement we might endure and stand again. We need one another when we come to die and would have gentle hands prepare us for the journey. All our lives we are in need, and others are in need of us. Thank you for coming to this place today to share our needs with each other. Kathy Benton is going to help us light our chalice today.
Okay, with me, let's say our chalice lighting. Love
Love's the spirit of this community, and service is its prayer. To dwell together in peace, to seek knowledge and truth, and to help one another. Thus we do covenant together.
Well, maybe.
All right, we are going to sing Spirit of Life. It is in your gray hymnal, number 123. Please stand if you are willing and able.
Sweet in my
we're just zipping right along this morning, aren't we? These glasses. Things change, don't they? So as I was trying to figure out what to say, as is usually typical for me, panicking 2 days before, no matter how much preparation I have done, usually about 2 days before, I'm like, oh no, I need to say something about this. I need to say something about that. I need to add this thing in. It doesn't matter. So I have learned to embrace that. I said, what do we need? What could I share with y'all to make this moving into a new year with all its uncertainty a little easier? Now this is burning bowl. Burning feels very final. It feels very the end, okay? Burning has its place in many rituals all over the place. Cremation of bodies after death is probably one of the most sober and feels the most final. What we do here today can, for some people, be no less final. Accepting things about who we are and going through the process of letting parts of you die is difficult. And Chris used the word vulnerable, which I have in my paper here today. We're vibing. That vulnerability is what makes us human. And it's what makes it important that we gather together. Humans gather together. We're not, by nature, solitary creatures. There are those interesting few who go off alone, often because they have been hurt or because they are fed up with what is surrounding them. Often I wonder, when hearing stories of people who have gone off into the wilderness or decided to live alone, what might have changed in their life that would have enticed them to remain among other humans. So letting go. There's lots of ways to let go. Probably one of the most popular ones that people like to drag out, whether it's useful or not, is to forgive. And forgetting comes with, what do we say? Forgive and forget. I have always had a tenuous relationship with forgiveness. Growing up Pentecostal, forgiveness was something doled out by God. I learned in Sunday school that forgiveness was universal. That it required nothing of me but accepting said forgiveness. That was actually the hard part for me. The idea of just being absolved universally of anything that I'd done felt wrong to me. I have learned to deal with that too. Not well sometimes. But that second part, forget, is even more distasteful. Forgive and forget seem to me to be disingenuous, both on the part of the forgiver and the person receiving it. What actually came from that? Did anything change for anybody? Really, really? Or did the forgiver just choose not to have that be a part of their consciousness anymore? Due to my own personal relationships and trauma, I even find apologies somewhat offensive. My initial response at this point to the words, "I'm sorry," is, okay, and? Apologies, in many of my experiences, are simply a way for the other party to end an argument, offer no changes for behavior, much less mindset. And I became accustomed to apologies as hollow, meaningless platitudes meant to encourage me to cease any attempts to discuss the situation or provide a platform for the other person to claim the high ground. I apologized. So if you're still upset, that's on you. They were apologizing. I was keeping the argument going. Why wouldn't I just let it go? The truth is, they didn't want me to forgive. They just wanted to forget. To forget the pain they'd caused, to forget their past actions, to let go of any and all expectations for a future of different behavior. And this I could not do. So what's our alternative? One of the alternatives is acceptance. Now, there's lots of different definitions of acceptance, both in the psychological world and in just worlds of like living and doing. Acceptance is recognition of a situation without attempt to change it. Okay. Now, this doesn't mean allowance or compliance. It's just acceptance. This is a thing. My partner is very fond of the phrase, "It is what it is." This used to make me really upset. I would share something that was happening, I would be upset, and he would trot out these words, and I would just be so mad. It felt dismissive. It was like a total lack of empathy. It is what it is. Well, of course it is what it is. What else would it be? The truth is, though, he was right. And I wasn't accepting what was for what it was. I wanted empathy. I wanted someone to listen. And he did. Stating what something is does not dismiss your feelings about what it is. Acceptance is not about the future. It's about the now. It clarifies the now. It's a key part, though, in determining future actions. Acceptance is taking stock of what is real and laying it out on the table. Acceptance is rejecting illusions and what ifs and it shouldn't be's. People who are dealing with narcissists in their life are often told to do just this. Because it is very, very easy to wish that things were different. To justify behaviors by thinking about what they could be if only. But if they would just do this other thing, then that wouldn't matter so much. If they could learn not to use those words, then it would be okay. Well, they just shouldn't do those things, and we all know that. So, if they would just, if. Acceptance is letting go of if. It's taking stock of what is real. It's not living on what if. I accept my body as it is sometimes. But if I live in, if only my knees were the same as they were 20 years ago, then I could run like I want to. But they are not like that. If I build my expectations on what ifs and it should be's, I'm setting myself up for failure, and I am building a future that is not based in reality. Okay? My knees do not work like they used to. They do not. That is true. That's true. So what do I do now? I look at programs that are more acceptable for people with joint issues. I join a running group that's for slow runners, like me. I don't live in what I wish was. My issues, my situations. It's what comes after acceptance that makes the changes. So accepting my body with all of its things is the reality. And what I do with that is what makes the difference. Accepting another person doesn't mean agreeing with their choices, nor does it dismiss wrongdoing, but it allows movement. Accepting that I work best with external motivation, like many people with ADHD, means that I don't look longingly at my instruments and just wish that I could will myself to pick them up every day and practice. That's not how my brain works. It means that I acknowledge I need a group, goals, accountability from an external source. So I join an online page on Facebook that encourages us to post weekly videos. I take a class where I have a teacher and I have goals outlined for me. This is not a failure. This is not, oh, I'm so messed up, so I just have to do it this way. No. This is me and who I am. Accepting that a partner is abusive allows for decisions to change the situation. So many people stay in abusive relationships, not just romantic relationships, but familial relationships as well, because they hope and wish that the other person will be something they are not being. And whether or not they can be that person in the future does not change what is happening right now. The ability to look forward and see how things might be is not a bad thing. But if it prevents you from accepting what is real right now, it's a detriment to movement. It's a wall that keeps us from being able to make decisions that can actually enact change. But what if people don't recognize their errors? Okay. That's not your, it's not your place. It is not your job to make other people change who they are. It is your job to accept what they are right now and act according to what is good for you. Sometimes that means staying and listening. Sometimes that means leaving. Sometimes that means fully cutting contact. Sometimes that means taking more direct action in courts, or in the cases of larger bodies of people, in government. Some things in this country are not okay. They're not. They're really, really not. But me standing on the side and going, why does it have to be this way? It shouldn't be like this. No, it shouldn't, but it is. Now what? Now what do we do? Now what changes do we make? Now what motions can we put into effect that can at least mitigate some things and maybe change them altogether? None of that will happen if we sit wondering what if. Acceptance works on a larger scale as well. Okay? Accepting your financial situation sometimes means not acting like you have more money than you do. Sometimes it means recognizing you do have money that you maybe didn't have growing up. It means being able to provide things for your family without feeling guilty about the cost. It means being able to look at what you have and share more than you used to be able to. But acceptance does not require action on the part of the other person. There are some things we just need to accept. But acceptance does not mean dismission of responsibility. It just means things are how they are right now. If you got a little piece of red paper when you came in, I'd like you to think for a moment about something you need to accept about yourself. So Burning Bull is about letting go. Accepting is a way of letting go. It's letting go of those false hopes and dreams that you have about things based in things that aren't real. Maybe you need to accept that that person you love is not going to love you the same way. Maybe you need to accept that your body is not what you think other people think it should be. Maybe we need to accept that the world does not love us the way our family does. And stop looking to that world for their acceptance if they're not going to give it. This is where we're vulnerable. I'm not asking anyone to share out loud. This is between you and our fire jar. If you don't have a red slip of paper, let me know. Okay, we'll get you some. Okay. Because I'm not done yet. You're going to have time. That's acceptance. But what if that other party does want to change? That's a whole different world. I was at work the other day. I work at a restaurant. And I was cleaning tables, and there was a group of older people. I say older, 70s. Older than me. They were sitting and discussing politics, and for the most part, when I'm at work, I try to actively ignore when people are talking about politics. They were talking about the recent election and some of the things that are happening. And they were unhappy with some of the choices that are being made by the person that they chose. And my initial response was, you made your bed, you lay in it. And then I was like, oh, damn. I'm in that bed too. We are in the same place. I wasn't quite ready to be very positive about that situation. And then I saw this woman put her head in her hands and say to her friends, I think I made a mistake. I made a mistake. Not everybody is going to say when they recognize that they have made a mistake. But I was very, very clearly confronted with the reality that there are going to be people who are going to realize that they made a mistake. What are we going to do about that? How are we going to interact with those people? Because I'm telling you, how we do that is what's going to make the difference. we will continue fighting the same people that want to fight. But how we approach the people who recognize what is happening, that's what's going to make the difference. It's going to make a difference in whether we gain allies or whether we distance people further. The word for that is reconciliation. Reconciliation is not like acceptance. It requires active participation on both parts. Reconciliation also does not require that you forget. It's actually essential that you don't. It requires that both parties work toward listening, learning, sharing. It requires that both parties move forward from a place of agreed upon acceptance of past behaviors. Not forgiveness of them, acceptance of them. It means coexisting, building trust, and exhibiting empathy. Did you understand when I said that requires both parties? The idea of having empathy for people who made choices that can hurt me tight. It's not. How dare you come to me with "I'm sorry"? That's really hard. That's really hard. But reconciliation doesn't require that I forgive. It just requires that I'm willing to work. Empathy is different from saying "I'm sorry" or even saying "I forgive you." Empathy is trying to understand what the other person is feeling. I come from rural Mississippi. I come from a lifetime, a legacy of poor white people. I come from people who work their entire lives and end up with nothing at the end. For these people, the idea that being white may be a privilege is not something they can understand. It takes a lot to explain white privilege to someone who has worked 2 jobs while their spouse also worked 2 jobs, to have children who cannot go to college because they cannot afford it, and also cannot get scholarships because those children were also working and unable to make grades that would enable them to do so. So this cycle continues. Is it correct? Not academically speaking. But it feels wrong to them. I don't condone the dismissal of what our black brothers and sisters have gone through. But I have empathy for those who don't understand. Being able to talk to them openly and honestly and say, I hear you, can make the difference. It can change someone. It can shift the flag they decide to fly on their truck. And this isn't an empty thing. I've seen it happen. I've watched it happen. I've watched people engage in conversation with people across a border that was unfathomable and change who they were and how they decided to be. We have a choice more than any other time in our country right now. We have a choice. We can sit in our hole of bitterness and I'm right. Or we can reach across and say, I see you. I think you made a wrong choice too. But I will stand with you as we fix it. As we fix it together. That woman was in tears at a public restaurant. And if you've ever seen Southern white women, they don't cry in restaurants. Something is changing in our people. And we need to be ready to accept people for who they are, to accept what they have done, and to reconcile with those who want to reconcile and move forward together. We need to let go of I'm right, I'm better. None of us are better. Some of us are better educated. Some of us have had the honor and the privilege of being brought up in liberal spaces such as this and being presented with information as opposed to lies, of being encouraged to seek truth instead of having falsehood shoved down our throats. Write down things you need to let go of. Write down things that need to change. Write it down for you and write it down for all of us. Sometimes the people we need to reconcile with most are ourselves. To accept who we are and meet ourselves halfway. To say, I forgive myself. I accept who I am. And I'm going to meet the person that I am and move forward together with myself. Do that. And then look at other people. Listen to them. Hear what they're saying right now. And see if there's a place where you can reach across. So we have another hand to work with together instead of another hand to fend off. At this time, I'm going to invite you to bring the things that you have written and put them in our fire jar. We're going to have a fire after the service. Some of you may have noticed the blocked off parking spaces. A real fire. A real one. And you're invited to stay and watch it as long as you like. Or to leave right after the service, knowing that those things will be released for you. Write it down and let it go. Let it go so you have an open hand to reach out. please bring your things to the jar. Brenda, if you will play us some music. I would ask you to, as much as you can, maintain silence during this reverent act of self-reflection and vulnerability. Thank you. I know that what I said today is hard. I'm not perfect. I scream in the night for the changes I hope will happen. I look at other people and wonder what can make them do the things that they do. I was preaching to me today as much as to any of you. Accepting is so hard. So hard. Being human is hard. But that's why we're here. Look around you. Take a minute. Really look at the people around you. Go ahead, you can turn around. It's all right. If you see a face you don't know, congratulations. You've discovered a new person who's on the same side as you. And so am I. Just don't forget to be on your own side. Thank you very much. Chris is now going to come do our offering.
Now it's time for the offering. The important work of this fellowship is possible because of your generous contributions of time, talent, and treasure. Every contribution of every size is helpful and appreciated. As we pass the offering baskets, we invite you to share financially. If you prefer, you may give at our website, by texting online, or mailing checks to our office. Will the hosts please come forward and pass the offering baskets? Thank you. Are we good? Okay. So we have some announcements on the screen and in your order of service. I want to just take note that our UUFF office will be closed for holiday and vacation, which they deserve because they work so hard for us. So that will be the 30th through the 1st. Also, Sherry wants me to let you guys know that our 2025 first family-friendly hike will be January 4th at 9 a.m. All are welcome, and it will be at Wilson Springs Preserve, and it will be led by Sherry. Also, yay, hikes. Nature's so important. Also, Sherry and Melly invite you every first Sunday at 12:30 here for the Gathering of Hands. And it's for fiber crafts. I told you Melly's super crafty. And so if you want to learn from Melly and Sherry, I'm sure that they are excellent teachers, and you can use it up, wear it out, make it do, or do without. It's for mending, repair, fixing, small projects, and it's really a grab your to-do pile kind of thing. So it should be really fun, and I'm probably going to go. All right. I think that's all the announcements. So next, I think we have our last closing hymn, and it is going to be in your gray hymnal, 118, This Little Light of Mine. Please stand if you are willing and able.
This little light of mine, I'm gonna let it shine.
these songs seem so short to me. Those of you who know, I come from a charismatic church background, so songs last like forever. And there's lots of clapping and moving and stuff like that. So I'm like, more clapping. Let's sing longer. Always. My closing words today come also from the Gray Hymnal. I try to do this every time, y'all. So if you ever wonder where those cool things come from, they come from here. This is called A Litany for Survival by Audre Lorde. Survival is a thing that people think about with, disasters or just living just to survive. But the truth is that evolutionarily speaking, we're not supposed to survive. Surviving is the surprise result. Most species, most changes, most don't survive. Surviving is a surprise. A litany for survival. For those of us who live at the shoreline, standing upon the constant edges of decision, crucial and alone. For those of us who cannot indulge the passing dreams of choice. For those of us who were imprinted with fear, like a faint line in the center of our foreheads, learning to be afraid without mother's milk. For by this weapon, this illusion of some safety to be found, the heavy-footed hoped to silence us. For all of us, this instant and this triumph, we were never meant to survive. And when the sun rises, we are afraid it might not remain. When the sun sets, we are afraid it might not rise in the morning. And when we speak, we are afraid our words will not be heard nor welcomed. But when we are silent, we are still afraid. So it is better to speak, remembering we were never meant to survive. But here we are. So, this is the end of our service. We are going to process out to the parking lot to light our fire, to burn our things that need to be released, and we will end the service from there. Thank you very much. Oh, we have to extinguish our chalice. That's my fault. Where'd Kathy go? I think she's counting things. So these are the words. Please say them with me.
We extinguish this flame, but not the light of truth, the warmth of community, or the fire of commitment. These we carry in our hearts until we are together again.
Doesn't want to. Well, that's prophetic, isn't it? So I'd like to invite you all to join us